Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the US, which is 10 a.m. in Australia or 1 a.m. if you are in the UK. Remember, if you miss the live streams, you can catch up with the premiere event streams on a Friday and Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time in the US, which is 7 a.m. in Australia or 10 p.m. if you are in the UK. I hope all you guys and girls are well. We are going to continue working on our Temple of the Winds. Smurfberry Barbecue, it's good to see you, buddy. And thank you for the host, Smurfberry, as well. I do appreciate it. So thank you, Smurfberry. Yes, what are we doing? We're going to be working on the Temple of the Winds, which is a model I'm creating in 3D Studio Max. We've finished the modeling stage. We're up to the texturing stage, which we're doing initially in Substance Painter. And then we're going to be switching to Mari by the Foundry to do some overpainting. And then we're going to be taking the model into Eon View to do some beauty renders in a full 3D environment. That's the plan anyway. So remember, as usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop into chat and ask me. If I can help you in any way, I'm happy to try. If you just want to pop in and say hello like Smurfberry, that's always welcome. But if all you want to do is watch, that's completely fine. Okay, so mic is unmuted. Everything looks good. Let's jump into Max. Now, I did make one change this morning just before the stream on this decorative piece here that goes around the column, because I thought we might introduce a little bit of gold just to make it a bit more interesting. It is a temple after all, so a bit of gold doesn't go astray. So what I've done here is I've just, the actual border itself, I've placed a metallic gold paint on. We're going to continue, it's not finished yet, I haven't finished texturing it up. I'm going to take it into Substance Painter in a minute and we'll make it just look a little bit prettier. But the other reason I wanted to introduce the gold was because it's going to help us when we have to start texturing up the rest of the railings. We can pick up some gold and make it look a bit more interesting. I haven't decided on what colours for what yet, really. We're sort of winging it. Gold, that's right, Smurfberry, gold. Everybody loves the gold. And it will allow us to pick up that gold colour. I might use it for the top of the banisters here. It'll help to make it look a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Ornate, elegant, ostentatious, I don't know. Pick a word. Help add a bit more colour though as well, I think. The yellow of the gold just helps to lift up the ironwork a little bit, particularly on the columns here, because they were initially, if you remember yesterday, the first texture we created with the ironwork was a bit too dark and it was getting lost on the column. And the gold here just helps to pick that up a little bit more, to help make them stand out a little bit more. The other thing I'm going to do too is I'm going to jump back into the texture we're using here for the columns. I just want to do a little bit of hand painting along the base mainly, because I'm just concerned that they're all we're using two different textures here, so we don't notice that we're repeating it. We're rotating the columns as well, but the bases of them all look a bit samey, so I'm just going to make a couple of alterations here and there. But first things first is we're going to tackle that gold border. So let's jump into Painter. I already have it loaded up. So this is the texture at the moment, which is fine, but I want to do a little bit of painting by hand. Because you should never rely, unless you need to for time restraints maybe, just rely on smart materials. Actually, I would recommend you never actually use smart materials unless you've made them yourself, because everyone uses them and they all look the same. Not quite as bad as smart masks, because you can control that and you can change it to make it look a bit more unique. But the smart materials I try generally to avoid. Not that they're bad, just that everyone uses them. So everyone's work looks the same. But you do notice I have a couple in here that I've made. So if you made them yourself, then you can reuse them. Well, you can use the smart materials if you really want to. It's your world, your work. I'd probably avoid using them though. Mix up your own. Use some smart masks, do some hand painting and mix up your own. Yeah, particularly if you're doing stuff with portfolio work, because you don't want your work to look like everybody else's. And if a studio is looking at your work with the thought of hiring you, they're going to know if you're using just smart materials and that's all you're doing, just throwing down a smart material and calling it a day. They'll know. And they don't want to hire someone that can just drag a smart material onto an object and say that's done. They want to see a little bit more creativity from you. So I just want to point that out. They do have their place. So I'm not saying don't use smart masks. Smart masks are really useful, really helpful, and you can actually alter a smart mask to make it look more unique anyway. A smart material, while you can alter the attributes, the parameters of a smart material, which if you're going to use them, I would really, really strongly recommend you do. Most people don't tend to do that. They just throw down the smart material and they say, that looks really cool, I'm just going to put that in my portfolio. So try and avoid doing that. Again, exceptions are if you're on a deadline or something and you need something done quickly. That's really why smart materials were created to begin with, I think. It was just for people on deadlines that needed something textured up quick. So they have their place. I'm not saying don't use them. Just be careful with them. Smurfberry says, I couldn't imagine not customizing a smart material. Some people don't though, Smurfberry, funnily enough. I know I've looked through ArtStation, portfolios on ArtStation, and I've noticed that some people just tend to just to throw down the smart material and they say, wow, that looks really cool, because smart materials can look pretty cool, and leave it and say that's done. And that's not really good. You always want to change your parameters, always. Anyway, let us see what we can do here. So this is a material that I've created though. So I'm using, let's just turn them off one by one so we can check what's going on. See, that's the whole group. Let's not do that. So I'm starting with a metallic, a rusty metal. Then I throw the gold on top of it. And then I throw a dirt layer on top of that again. And now I'm going to go through and do some distressing by hand. So first things first is I need to add a paint layer. As far as brushes go, I like to use the dirt brushes. They're really, really cool. So dirt 1, dirt 2 and dirt 3. I tend to stick to dirt 2. It's a good brush for everything. Let us get in here and do some painting. Just going to reduce the size of my brush a bit. Maybe a little bit more. That should be good, I think. I'm going to switch to the pen as well. And I'm just going over the edges here to remove some of the gold that sits along the edge of the object. Because generally if paint is going to wear off, it's going to start wearing from the hard edge before it wears from anywhere else. Just going to pull back a little bit. I'm just noticing a little bit of lag here for some reason between when I place my pen to the tablet and when Substance Painter decides that there's something happening. Not sure what that's about. Could be something to do with the new Microsoft update, which is causing people all sorts of problems I've been reading about this morning. People have been having problems with that new Microsoft update that came out on Tuesday this week. And like I said, I'm noticing here that it is taking a while for Substance to recognize my tablet. See, I'm pressing now and it's taking a good, what is it? Geez, it must be a good 6 to 10 seconds. I must check my settings again because it wouldn't surprise me if Windows has changed something. That's really annoying. You know, I'm using my mouse here now. I'm going to have to switch to the mouse, I think, because my pen is really having a problem. Let's try it again. It's really taking a while. It's taking a while. I'm just going to jump into the control panel and check my settings to see if Microsoft has changed anything. I'll start with the Wacom tablet properties. That's the problem. Okay. So what's happening here is the service has stopped. So what we need to do is we need to go and look at our services. And I've noticed this, it's some bug in Microsoft Windows. It's sometimes after a reboot, the pen service will stop. And that will cause problems. Obviously, if the pen service isn't working, then nothing else will work with regard to your pen. I think it's the Wacom Professional service. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to restart the service. I'm just going to minimize that and we'll check to see if that's helped or not. It hasn't, so I might have hit the wrong service, I think. Because there are a couple. Adobe, Capture, Com. So I'm just going to go back again to the control panel to see if it's going to complain if I try and open this up. No. The service is fine, that's all fine. It could be because the application has been open and the service was stopped running. So what I might do is I might close Substance Painter down and reopen it. I think that looks cool. Mapping is fine. While I'm here, I might as well check the other settings for the pen. Smokeberry says, is that a general release update or that beta 2020 update that goes to MS? No, it's just a general update, Smokeberry. I don't use the beta builds of Windows because the general build is buggy enough. I don't want more problems. So it's just the general build that everybody uses, the latest build, 89.9 or whatever it is of Windows, the October update. Yeah, so I really try and avoid, I'm not in the beta program, I don't want to beta test Microsoft software, I do enough of that through the main operating system as it is. Last thing I want to do is add more problems for myself. It's all switched off, that should be good. I'm pretty sure that was the correct service, so I'm just going to save our project and I'll reopen Substance Painter, see how we go. Worst comes to worst, I'll just switch to the mouse and I'll work out what is going on with the tablet driver after the stream. Make those large. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? We want the paint layer, that's the one. Let's switch back to our brush, which is Dirt 2. Make it smaller. Let's see how we go. And that's better. You see that I'm not having a problem now. So again, if you ever run into that problem, just restart that service that you find under the administrative tools on the control panel in Windows. It doesn't happen often. Occasionally I've noticed the service will not... you saw as well, the service said it was running, it wasn't running. So there is some sort of problem between the service and Windows 10. And if I was to lay blame, I'd probably lay it on Microsoft over Wacom. I'm just going to leave a couple of gaps, so I'm not going to go completely around the edge. I'm just sort of hitting the edge here and there. I'm going to come down past the edge in a couple of spots as well. And we're back to the beginning. I'm not going to do the inside edges because these inside edges are actually inside the column, so the column butts right up against them. They're not really going to be seen, so it's really only the outside edges here I need to worry about. Actually, this is why I like doing painting by hand, because it's really relaxing. You zen out as you paint. I used to do a lot of oil painting when I was younger, because I've always liked art. But it's so messy when you do any sort of oil painting. You end up with paint everywhere and the room stinks of thinner and stuff. But I much prefer digital work. No mess, no muss, no fuss. Smoker says, yeah, put that dirt on there, that's right. It's got to be dirty. This is actually not dirt that I'm putting on here. This is I'm actually removing the gold paint, so really revealing the rusty metal underneath. What I'm going to do after I've done this, I'm going to jump to the dirt layer and make some changes to that as well. Because the dirt layer tends to knock back the really nice rich gold, reflection of the gold. So I want to jump in and just hit the model here and there to bring up some of the actual gold paint. We'll give it a good get rid of a lot of the paint from around the top here, I think. Now I think I'm working from memory in about a 2K texture space for this piece. Android Lust is good to see you, Android Lust. How are you? Android Lust says, I can't remember what piece that is. Okay, did you miss the very beginning here? Let me just explain again. This actually, I made a small change this morning to this piece here. Initially, everything was the same color, like it was that greeny grey metal. But I've decided to split up the actual border and make that a gold because it just adds a bit more interest to the column. So that's the reason you might not recognize it. It's because I broke it up. I separated that piece from the border. And by using some gold here, we can pick up that gold in some other spots in the model. Help make it look a bit more interesting. Add a bit more of a color to the model, so everything doesn't end up being grey and green. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm just going through it by hand and adding some distressing to the edges. You're good to hear. Yes, no, sorry about that. I normally try and not do things off stream, but this morning as I was setting the stream up and I loaded up the max file, I looked at the column and thought, I think that needs a bit of improvement. And but I didn't do much to it. I just did one or two pieces to see whether it would work. And I'm going to finish it like I am now on stream so you guys can see how I do it. It's no fun if you're watching someone make something and they make most of it when you're not watching. So yeah, I'm not just hitting the edge here, I'm sort of taking some from up and some from underneath as well in some spots. Android Dust says, but it does make the column look better. I think so too. It just helps to, because the metal work was just getting a bit lost that wraps around the column. So adding the gold just helps to draw your eye to it a little bit more. And like I said, helps to add a bit more colour to the model too. But you've got to bear in mind, when we start doing the beauty renders, so that when I jump into Eon View, depending on the lighting I use and the time of day, the textures are going to look different anyway. But we want to get the underlying texture to look good. But yeah, depending on the lighting and all that sort of thing that I choose to use, when we set up the scene in view, the textures can start to look quite different. So. And I haven't really decided on exactly what look I'm going to go for the model, like what sort of scene I'm going to put it in. We'll decide all of that when I actually jump into view. I'm also just taking out a bit more of the gold from underneath because the water will have run down and pooled under here, so that it's more of a chance of the actual paint being removed from underneath of the lip, the ring. Again, not going to be noticeable so much because it's going to be butting right up against one of those columns, but as we're here, we might as well do it. Okay, let's move on to the straight pieces. Now, again, I'm not doing the inside rings because they butt up right against the column. They're not going to be seen. I'm only worried about the outside rings. The same with the back edge here. I'm only worried about the front edge of this straight bar piece. I'm not going to do variations on this either. I'm going to just do the one texture map. I don't think people will notice that it's being reused because it's a relatively small part of the overall model. I don't think people are going to notice. So unlike the columns where we made two different textures because they're quite large, this being so small, I'm only going to make one version, one texture. I don't know if you were here before Android last. Do you use a pen, a tablet at all? Because we were talking about a problem I had just before with Windows 10 not recognizing the pen. I'm just curious if you use one, in which case I'll just mention it again for you if you like. Because it's something I've noticed Windows 10's been doing quite a bit recently. You were here when I mentioned it? Good. But yeah, because it's something somebody that uses a pen might not even think could be a problem. They could, you know, having to actually look at one of the services that are running is something most people wouldn't sort of jump to straight away as far as problem solving goes. So, Smappery says, my problem is usually somehow the Wacom settings turns use Windows Ink back on. Yeah, well, you noticed that I checked all of that when I went into the control panel, Smappery. Because you are correct, sometimes that can happen too. You turn it all off and Windows decides to turn it back on again. Because that does interfere with the Wacom software as well if you've got Windows Ink and stuff turned on. We never had these problems until Microsoft released Windows 10 and decided that they wanted to push people using pens on phones and stuff, I guess. So they ended up breaking other stuff. Okay, let's move around to this one. Now again, I'm using about a 2K map here. If you wanted a higher resolution, if you were ever going to render up that close that we're painting, you'd want a higher resolution. Andrew Loss says, but I don't think I've had a problem so far. Well, lucky you, I've had a problem. And Smurfberry says, luckily it generally only does that once or twice per year. It's the same with this service thing. That's the second time I've had to restart the service in all the time I've been using the pen since probably for the last 6 or 8 months. So I've had to restart that service twice. So it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Andrew Doss says, my Wacom tablet is too basic for Windows 10. Sniper Girl, it's good to see you, Sniper Girl. How are you? What you up to? How's things? We've just been bitching about Microsoft Windows 10 turning the Wacom pen service off. So our pen stops working. It's very annoying. And I decided the column Sniper Girl needed a little bit more interest, so I've separated out the actual borders that run around that ironwork that goes around the column, and I'm adding a little bit of gold to it because I think the gold will help to lift it up a bit. Sniper Girl says, got some good news. Oh, good. Going to have an interview with 343. Got an email today. Well, that's excellent news. Congratulations, Sniper Girl. That's good to hear. You excited? Nervous? You'll be fine. Chuatara, it's good to see you, Chuatara. How are you? Afternoon to you as well. That's excellent news, though, Sniper Girl. I'm glad to hear you've got an interview. That's really cool. Excellent, excellent. Konzui, thank you for the subscription. Thank you, Konzui, for subscribing. I do appreciate it, guys, when you sub to the channel. So thank you, Konzui. You are awesome. And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. My apologies if I'm not. So thanks again, Konzui. It is awesome, Chuatara. Congratulations to you, Sniper Girl. We'll all keep our fingers and toes and everything else crossed for you. You'll be fine, though. I've seen the quality of your work you've been putting out, and it is very good. So make sure you show them that dragon you did too, that photogrammetry. I'll make sure they've seen it. Android Lust says, that's awesome. Sniper Girl says, and one of my friends knows a couple of leads that work there. My friend texted them and everything. Oh, well, that's even better. If you know someone that works at the studio, you're in with a better chance than anyone. I don't talk about it very much because I don't want to discourage people. I'm not going to discourage people. If studios advertise a position, you should always apply. Even if studios don't advertise a position, you should still always send your resume in. Having said that, though, what studios will tend to do, not all studios, but a few of the ones that I've worked at, seems to be the way that they operate. Again, I do no hiring or firing. It's all done by HR everywhere I've worked. What they end up doing is they have a project that they need to do. They have a deadline. They go around to all of the people that work in the studio and they say, do you know of anyone that could do this? And so the first line of attack generally is asking people that work in the studio, or do you know anyone that would be good to do this role? And if people don't know of anyone, or maybe everyone's busy that they know of and they can't take on extra work, or they don't want to leave where they're working already, then they'll go through the list of resumes that people have sent in, and after that, then they will advertise the position. So generally, if they can't find someone through internal means by asking the staff that work there, or going through the resumes of people that have already applied, then they'll advertise a position. And again, not all studios will behave that way. Some will advertise regardless because they just want to cast a wide net to get the best person. But certainly knowing someone that works at the studio is a huge in. So that's excellent. Excellent, Sniper Girl. But that doesn't detract at all from the quality of your work. Just the fact that you know someone there doesn't mean, if you didn't, you wouldn't get a job. Sniper Girl says, not going to lie, ended up throwing up when I got the email. Well, that's all right. Everybody gets nervous. Everybody gets nervous. You'll be fine. Like I said, I've seen the quality of your work. Just relax during the interview. I know it's hard because you're stressed. You want to create a good impression. You want them to like you. My advice is just to try and relax as much as you can. Just some deep breaths before the phone call. deep breaths when the phone is ringing before you answer it, that sort of thing. And just treat them like you talk to a friend, basically. Don't be intimidated by them. They're just people like you. They're just asking questions. They just want to know more about you, so just treat them like every other person. Respectfully, of course, but if you don't treat other people respectfully, you should treat people interviewing you respectfully. Sniper Girl says, I'm definitely in they looked at my resume. I sent them camp, applied ages ago with 343. Was shocked to get the email. Well, it's always nice when you get an email. An unexpected email from an employer that wants to look at your work or wants to interview you. Chuatara says, yep, I agree with Phil. Your work is really lovely. We'll cross my fingers for you. You'll be fine. You will be fine. Like I said, the worst part is the interview, and it's just getting nervous because you're talking to someone about a job. But they're just normal people. There's nothing special about them, particularly. I mean, apart from the fact that they've got the final say as to whether you're hired or not. But you know what I mean. They're just regular people. So just treat them that way. Again, I'm just going through here and removing the gold paint from along the edge. I always hit that slider button on the pen. I've got such a bad habit of doing that. I'm wondering why when I'm painting I'm zooming in closer and closer. It's because I'm hitting the slider on the side of the pen. Okay, last one. We need to do the rings along the bottom. Andrew Lust says, I would end up getting imposter syndrome. What is that? What is imposter syndrome, Andrew Lust? Sniper Girl says to Tuatara, thank you. Sniper Girl says, normal people at 343 always wanted to work there. Well, everybody is normal. My point is not to say that these people are not normal. It's just to say that it's easy to get nervous during an interview, whether it's on the phone or in person. More so in person, but phone interviews can be just as nerve-wracking. And I'm just trying to make it so you guys and girls don't get nervous by just telling you that they're just ordinary people. There's nothing, just treat them like you'd treat any other person, friend that you're speaking to on the phone. And it's harder for younger people too. I mean, maybe because I'm a bit older now, I don't really care, but younger people can get quite nervous. And I know because I mentor junior artists at the studio, and I know how young people can get, which is why I always tell you guys and girls not to put your own work down as well. Because I notice that with a lot of younger people, they tend to put their work down. Now, I'm not suggesting to you to be arrogant and full of yourself and think your work is the best in the world, but don't put your own work down either. Sniper Girl says, granted, last Halo I played was Halo 2. Haven't been able to play the Halo since they went console. Also, see, I'm not familiar with 343 Studios. Are they the people that did the Halo game? Well, there you go. So they're owned by Microsoft Studios, then I imagine? Because I think, didn't Microsoft buy out the studio that made Halo, or the studio that redid Halo years and years ago? Chuatara says, imposter syndrome's a common thing, feeling that you don't have the skills for the job you do. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I wasn't. That was a new one. I'm not familiar with the word imposter syndrome, but I do know of people not thinking that they're good enough, or not thinking their work is good enough. I see it way, way, way too often in younger people, particularly. Because us older people, like I said, well, at least me, I just don't give a shit anymore. When I say I don't give a shit, I love what I do. I take pride in my work, but I don't care what other people think. That's what I'm trying to say. I've reached that stage now where I just couldn't give two rats what other people think. But it's easier for me because I'm a bit older, so I've been around a bit longer. Sniper Girl says, I'm more nervous with phone interviews, to be honest. I lost some hearing when I was in the Navy, and phone interviews can be hard for me. Oh, okay. Well, I wasn't aware of that. Well, that could make things a bit more difficult. I prefer a phone interview to a face-to-face, I have to admit. Generally, you've always got to do a face-to-face for the final... It's unusual. Well, not out of the question, because I've actually gotten jobs over phone, but generally they want to see you. So phone interview will be stage 1, and then they'll call you in if they want to see you, and that'll be like a stage 2 interview. Sometimes you can have 4 interviews, guys, depending on the company and the studio. That's even worse. It's interview after interview after interview as they whittle people down. Smurfer says, Master Chef Collision, get you some. Android Lust says, yes, what Tuatara said, though you can do the work, you doubt your abilities and skills, yeah. And again, I didn't know what it was called, that I hadn't heard that term, but I do see it a lot in the studio, mainly with younger artists. Not thinking their work is good enough, or putting their own work down. And I hate that. I hate seeing anyone put their work down, because it's just your insecurity coming forth when you do that. Sometimes, I'm not saying no one's work can be improved. Everyone's work can always be improved. So I'm not suggesting, like I said, that you become boastful and think your work is the best in the world. But don't put it down. I get a bit annoyed actually too with other people that start critiquing people's work online. If it's constructive criticism, that's fine, but way too often, particularly with people that post their work online, and they may just be trolls, because let's face it, the internet's full of trolls. I see these posts by people saying really horrible things, and I just think to myself, well, have you tried to do what they've done? Put your money where your mouth is and show me your work, You're quick to criticise other people's work. Let me see what you can do. And I guarantee half the people criticising couldn't do any better. So that's just one of my pet peeves with people that criticise other people's work. If it's not constructive criticism, then it's useless and pointless, and you should not listen or read any of it. It's just trolls being trolls. Sniper Girl says, Bungie originally had the rights. 343 bought the rights. Oh, okay. Well, okay, I haven't played any of the Halo games. I'm a PC player, not a console player. Sniper Girl says, do you think if I explain that they'd be willing to do Skype interview? Yes, I do. I think you should. Yes, I think that's certainly valid for you to ask if you have a problem with your hearing. And you would be more comfortable doing it via Skype. It does not hurt to ask. You're not going to do any damage by asking, Sniper Girl. By all means ask if you would be more comfortable doing a Skype interview. Explain why you'd like to do a Skype interview. I'm sure they'll be reasonable people. They may not be able to, so not because they don't want to, but maybe they just can't for some reason. It could be security, it could be anything like that. But it certainly does not hurt to ask. Sniper Girl says, know the feeling. I had a person tell me that my dragon looked like it was made with chocolate. Well, there you go. Yeah, they're just trolls. Guys and girls, they're just trolls. Don't let any troll ever put you off doing what you want to do. Whether that's doing new 3D art, doing any sort of art, making a game, doing whatever you want to do, achieving whatever your goal or dream is, don't let the trolls put you off, because that's what they want. They're after a reaction from you. Trust me, I've been streaming for a while. I know what trolls are like. And prior to that, though, I've been selling my work online for years and years and years. I've come across some trolls. Just ignore them. Ignoring them is the best thing, because they want a reaction. So if you don't give them one, then they get bored and they move on. And it's generally, well, actually, I won't even make that. I was about to say it's generally younger people trolling younger people, but it's not. It can be older people who are just nasty as well. Yeah, so I said, yeah, do explain to them, and They may not be able to, not because they don't want to, but it just could be reasons they can't do Skype. But certainly ask, Sniper Girl. I think it will not hurt to ask. You won't be jeopardizing anything by asking them. Android Lust says, well, chocolate sculptures are impressive too. They are. And they're yummy. Yummy, yummy. Oh, I love chocolate so much. You guys know I love the chocolate, but I can't eat the chocolate because I break out. I'm like a 12-year-old. I get break out in pimples everywhere, particularly my face for some reason. So as much as I love the chocolate, I really can't eat it. Which makes me sad. With Easter coming up and everything, I won't be eating all those chocolate Easter eggs. Well, not unless when I come back, you want to see my face covered in pimples, which is what will happen, guaranteed. So you'll know if Phil's been cheating over Easter eating chocolate because there'll be pimples everywhere. Again, I'm going to remind you guys now, I'll remind you at the end of the stream, I'm not streaming next week over Easter. I generally do work over Easter for the studio and I normally stream. But this year I've decided to take a break. I'm not doing any work for the studio and I'm not streaming. So I'm only going to be missing next week. So Monday, Tuesday next week I'm not streaming, but I'm back the week after. So just 1 week. Android Lust says, but it doesn't look like chocolate. No clue. No, that doesn't look like chocolate. It doesn't look like chocolate at all. Like I said, they're just a troll. Or they're blind. I don't know. One of the two. Does not look like chocolate. You did a lovely job texturing it up, Sniper Girl. Really, really lovely job. But we all know about trolls, like I said. We live in the internet age. You guys and girls are all pretty switched on. You've been on the internet for quite a while, I'm sure. You know what trolls are like. You know what people that troll are like. Twitch streamers seem to get them quite a bit more than maybe forum people who post, if you post something online. I think that's the reaction thing. I think they like the fact that Twitch streamers live and they control them and get a reaction live, so they get that instant gratification, which is the whole point of a troll. So they get their feedback much more quickly. I think that's why they like to troll a lot of Twitch people. Some trolls though are just doing it for fun. You know what I mean? They don't intend to be mean. Some of them are just, I don't know, they just want to rise. They're just after a bit of fun. I actually had somebody who trolled me on Twitch when I first started streaming apologise to me on my Twitter later that day for trolling me. But it didn't bother me, and I said to them, you know, it was fine. They were fine, they were funny. You still remember dial-up, Sniper Girl? Wow. I wouldn't admit to that. I remember dial-up though too, Sniper Girl. I do. Those days of the modems that would sing to you, you know, that beeping sound that they'd make when you dial up to, say, a BBS, a bulletin board system. Well, you guys probably don't even know what a BBS is these days. This is way before the internet on like a 56k dial-up modem. Those were the days. Android Lust says your internet is basically dial-up. I've got good internet now. Now that the NBN has been installed, I've got good internet. Finally. My potato internet days are gone. Finally. Sniper Girl says, honestly, as an atheist, I'm like, Easter, okay, discounts on candy on Monday. Well, that's right. If nothing else, even if you are an atheist, you get the cheap chocolate. Those cheap eggs and chocolate bunnies and all that sort of stuff. Smurfberry says, I saw some basement dwellers screeching about true gamers and saying that Mario isn't a game. Well, if they don't think Mario is a game, I'd like to know what they think it is. Mario's a good game. Nintendo makes some great games. Yes, typical troll, I think, Smurfberry. Smurfberry says, I'm like, please, your PS4 ain't nothing. That's right. Console peasants. If you're not on the PC, you're not a true gamer. Android Lust says to Smurfberry, I have a friend that says that. Smurfberry says, get on my level. Yay, internet. Android Lust says, I meant Sniper Girl. Oh, sorry, Android Lust. Sniper Girl's internet, yeah. But Sniper Girl lives in the country, so. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add another paint layer. This time I want to bring back some of the gold. So I added a paint layer to remove gold from the edges. Now I'm going to add another paint layer to bring back some gold. Sniper Girl says, yeah, do live in the country, hoping to get a job at 343 because, yeah, I'm sure they have better net in the area. Yeah, it's always a problem. I mean, I want to live in the country. I'm jealous, Sniper Girl, that you live in the country because I desperately, desperately want to live in the country. I would love to live in the country. In fact, that's where I intend to go once I've retired, which won't be for a very long time, but yeah, my goal would be to live in the country. So what I'm doing here, I'm painting some of the gold back in because what I did initially was I used a smart mask to do the initial dirt layer, the initial gold over the rusting metal layer. So just to make it a little bit more unique now, I'm just going through and overpainting it to paint some of the gold back in. And because I'm using the pen, depending on how much pressure I apply, I can make it a light paint back or a really heavy paint back. The country sucks? It doesn't suck, Android Lust. I love the country. I would love to live in the middle of nowhere. I live in a city, so I'm used to noise and cars and people. I would love to live where, you know when I go to my cabin in the woods, which I do about the middle of the year, that cabin is like, the nearest person to me is like 20 kilometers away. That is my idea of heaven, where there is no one near me. I sound incredibly antisocial, don't I? But yeah, no, I love quiet, particularly if I want to do some work. So I love the fact that there'll be nobody near me, or there is no one near me that can bother me. Like I said, it makes me sound incredibly antisocial, which is not true. I'm very social, but... Smurfbrew says, can get you some SpaceX internet. Android Lust says, no difference to anyone, but I hate it. You're entitled to your opinion, Android Lust. That's cool. You not offending anyone. If you don't like the country, then that's fine. Sniper Girl says, why? So you can go on walks and see a new cornfield. I love walking and really can't do that due to how spread out everything is. Yeah, I don't know if I'd like to actually live like amongst a farming community where there's lots of cornfields, or where there's lots of crop growing, because I like bushwalking, as we call it in this country. So I like forests, wandering through forests, that sort of thing. And yeah, I like doing all of that. I think that'd be heaven. I could do that non-stop, wandering through the different forests around the place with my camera. Android Dust says, so your internet will be 20 kilobits per second out there. And that's one of the reasons I don't... Mind you, Australia, because the new internet in this country has been rolled out by the government, they started in the country areas, and that's why it took so long for me to get my connection in the inner city, because they started out in the middle of nowhere to get them a good internet connection, and then they worked their way into the cities, because it was done by the government. If it was done by private enterprise, they would have started in the city. So generally, actually, the country areas in Australia here don't have bad internet now. Not everywhere. Some places, because the rollout of the network in this country was a combination of fibre and wireless satellite. The satellite stuff is not great. So some people in the country are stuck on the satellite service, and that's pretty crappy. It doesn't work properly. The speeds aren't great. They don't give you unlimited amount of bandwidth data like you get in the city or on fibre. So they only give them like, maybe 300 gigabytes to use a month, that sort of thing. So yeah, some of the people in the country stuck on that. That's not great. But there's quite a few country people that are on fibre, and that's great. Fibre is great. I was reading actually in the US, how Google were rolling out fibre in some cities in the United States, and now Google are rolling all of that back and they're ripping up their old fibre. I don't get that. Why, Google? Why are you doing that? If you've already laid the fibre, why are you pulling it up? Sniper Girl says, I live in a subdivision. Outside of that, there's a lot of corn and soy. Okay. That can be pretty though. Not endless cornfields and things. That can be attractive, pretty. I don't know if I'd like to wander through them, but looking at them can be pretty. Smurfberry says, fibre helps me poo. It does help you poo, Smurfberry. Fibre is good for pooing. Is very good for pooing. And when you need to poo, like I said to you guys, you don't eat, then you don't shit, and if you don't shit, you die. So if you don't poo, then you're in trouble. You must poo. Everybody poos, and it's really important. Android Lust says, there's cows, horses and donkeys down the street from me. Oh, okay, that sounds cool. Instead of cornfields, there's cotton fields. Okay. Well, we're not going to get all political here. I don't actually like cotton as a crop. I think, I like cotton because we make clothing out of it. But as a crop, it uses so much water. It's really, really bad in areas where there's a lack of water, because cotton crops just suck the water up. And we have cotton growers in this country as well. And I don't think we should be growing cotton in Australia. Unnecessary to be growing cotton here. And because we have water restrictions if you're in the country, because of the summers and stuff here get very hot. So the government reduces the amount of water that farmers can use, and these cotton farmers get huge allocations of water, whereas people that grow fruit and vegetables and that sort of thing suffer. So, and cotton crops, yeah, all those little white balls everywhere. It's an interesting plant, the cotton plant, though, to look at as a plant. Sniper Girl says, to Android Luster, okay. So we're not too far off. Well, there you go. But horses and cows, that sounds cool. Sounds incredibly cool. And I have lived in the country before. When I was younger and lived in Queensland, my mother moved the whole family. We moved to the Sunshine Coast, which is past Brisbane. Like, you've got Brisbane here. On this side of Brisbane is the Gold Coast, which you might have heard of overseas. And on this other side is the Sunshine Coast, which is places like Noosa are, and I used to live near Noosa. And that was a lot of sugarcane, so there were fields and fields of sugarcane growing next to the house. And then the beach was just down the road. But it was a smallish town. It was only a population of probably about 1,000 people. And that was when I was about 15, I think. I lived there. Smurfberry says, aren't all the coasts of Australia the Sunshine Coast? You get a lot of desert. Well, that's true. If you look at the map of Australia, pretty much 92% of the country is desert. All the interior of the country is all desert. And we're talking incredibly flat desert, because Australia is a really old continent. Not much geology goes on here, so we don't have a lot of huge mountains and things like that. We have mountains, but on the coastline. But the interior of which is all desert, is incredibly flat. That's why all of the mines in this country are generally in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert there. Because the geology is so old, it's easy for them to mine. So that's the reason I get sent out the middle of nowhere all the time. But yeah, most of Australia is desert. So even though the country is quite large, we can't make use of a lot of it because it's so hot and dry. It's not like the US. The US is a large country, but they have a really varied climate over the US. You know what I mean? I know that you have some deserts in the US as well, like you've got Death Valley and things like that, which is really dry. But you have a lot more variety than we have in Australia because Australia is so flat. Android Lost says, didn't know cotton uses a lot of water, but yeah, I used to ride pedal bike before I started 3D stuff. Before I moved out to the country, I would ride 100 plus miles a week. Riding through the country is a bit boring, so I quit. It's pretty good. You must have been incredibly fit, Android Lost, to ride 100k every week. Jeez, better than me. Much better than me. Again, I'm just painting some of the gold back in, removing some of the that's distressing. Let's just add a little bit back through here. Not everywhere. I do want to leave some parts quite worn. Not all of it. Whoa. What happened there? Just give me a second, guys. I just need to pull up my network again. Okay. And I need to pull up my other one. Let me redo that. Let's done it again. Stop doing it. I'm not sure why that crashed. I use a program called TeamViewer to keep to connect up my network here at home, and for some reason it just decided to crash out. No, the joys of Windows or the joys of software, I don't know. It's never done that before, actually. That's what that warning was that Microsoft gave me. Everything looks good. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm just going to just add a bit more gold through the side pieces here. And what I'm going to do after I finish doing this is I'm going to throw another paint layer down on the very top layer, because the very top layer is the layer that has the dirt over it. And you'll notice with the dirt layer, it has a tendency to really muffle the shine of the gold. So I'm going to move up to this very top dirt layer. And again, I'm going to add a paint layer. Let's come in here. What this is actually doing is it's not removing the rust or the gold or adding gold, it's removing the dirt. So I'm just going to do that here and there over the model, just to bring up the gold a little bit more. So if I sort of rotate around, you can see we're getting a lot more reflection on that gold. That's because I'm removing the dirt. At the moment, the dirt layer sort of covers everything, so it sort of dulls the gold. So I'm just going to go through and just remove some of the dirt here and there to bring the gold back up. As you'll see, if I overpaint the rust here, I'm not removing the rust, I'm just lifting the gold because I'm removing the dirt. Let's do the same for some of the pieces here along the base. I'm not going to do everywhere because I do want to leave some bits a little darker, covered in dirt. So I'm sort of skipping spots here and there. Just going to increase the size of my brush as well. Android Lost says, looks like nature really abused that part of the column. We actually do have to jump back into... I was trying to make a couple of alterations to the column textures as well. But we'll get this one done first. Maybe just a little bit more through here. Okay, I might want to do a little bit on the sides here as well. Smoker says, Phil, can you show the UV space ball? This one. Yes, I can. Which button is it? That's the UV space for it. Again, not great packing. We've got a lot of space that we're not using. I could repack it. We can do that after the fact, though. I can do a re-render to texture if we really want. Smokeberry says F1, F2 and F3 toggles the modes. Well, there you go. That's the UVs there, that's Smokeberry. I'll leave the UV up there beside it while I work. Just for you, Smokeberry Barbecue, because you asked so nicely. You were curious? No worries. Yeah, again though, that's not great use of UV space, I will admit. We could probably rotate those around so they run this way, and we could use half our UV space there, which would be better. I don't think you can't use UDIMs in Substance Painter, can you? I don't think it's designed for UDIMs like Mari is, because Mari you can use UDIMs for your work. So instead of having to make your texture higher and higher resolution to get a sharper looking texture, you can break the texture UVs into UDIMs, which means you can use a lower resolution texture and still get a nice high resolution close up on a model. That's one of the great things about Mari. It uses UDIMs as standard. And of course, as far as I'm aware, I don't think there are any game engines that use UDIMs, so that's probably why it's not in Substance Painter. But I have a feeling now with real-time ray tracing becoming a thing, you might find that UDIM use picks up quite a bit. Because it's used a lot in films. Oh, Smokery says it does have some limited UDIM support. ICMZ, it's good to see you, ICMZ. How are you? How have you been? Haven't seen you for ages. Are you good? How's things? What you been up to, ICMZ? ICMZ says you can use UDIMs in Substance, but you're limited to 0 to 9 space, I believe. Oh, okay. Well, 0 to 9 space is not too bad. When I worked in film, though, when we used UDIMs in film, we generally it's not uncommon for UDIMs to go into the hundreds. Like, you know, you can have a model that has 120 UDIMs on it or more, depending on what the model is and depending on what the shot is for the model. But 0 to 9, that's still pretty good, I guess, actually. But I don't know game engines. I don't think game engines can take a model that has UDIMs. Like, you can use different texture spaces for your shadow map and that sort of thing in UE4, but I don't think for the main texture map you can use UDIMs unless they've changed it, unless Epic have changed that. But I have a feeling, like I said, with ray tracing now, pardon me, I think UDIMs will make a bigger appearance because they're really useful, really handy. Like I said, it means you don't have to keep increasing your texture resolution to get a nice high quality texture on your model. You break your model up into UDIMs. So you can use a lower resolution texture and still get a nice close-up shot on a model, which is high resolution. And there you go. Smepper has popped a link in from Algorithmic with regard to UDIM support. Cool. And I'm not going to use it for this model because I'm making this Temple of the Winds that we're creating here in Max. I'm putting in my 3D store, so most people that buy the models probably won't want UDIMs, or they won't understand how to use UDIMs properly, so to make it easier for people that buy the model, I won't be doing UDIMs on this one. But this would be a good model that we could use UDIMs on. ICMZ says you've been good. Thanks. I switched jobs and had to move, but it's been great so far. I miss on all the good streams, so I just watch your YouTube videos. No problem. Well, there you go. That's why they're on YouTube as well. It's good to see you, but I understand, guys and girls, that you've got lives and you've got things you've got to do, and when I stream it's not convenient for when you guys want to watch. I get all of that. That's why I upload my my videos, my streams to YouTube. And I do actually upload them to my Twitch channel as well under the videos tab. So if you ever do miss a stream and you can't catch the catch-up streams, which are on a Friday and Saturday, you can always catch them up on my YouTube channel or under the video section on my Twitch page. Again, I'm just going through and hitting it here and there just to bring up the gold paint a bit more, to remove some of the dirt. I don't have to be careful with this either because all I'm removing is the dirt layer. So I can be pretty heavy-handed with it as I work. Okay, let's jump up to the top one. So you switched jobs, ICMZ, and it's a good move. You enjoying the new job? And you had to move. Well, moving itself is always a big stressful thing to do. I hate packing. Wow, I hate packing. Like, furniture, packing up furniture and stuff, or belongings to move to a new address. Man, I hate that. I hate that so much. I'm a creature of habit. And if my habit gets broken, then this creature gets broken as well. Just going around to see if there are any areas I want to do any touch up on. No, I think we're pretty good. Let's do a save here. And let's export that texture. We're sending it to column deco frame 2. That's good. We're going to save it as a 2K texture. That's all fine. Sniper Girl says, wow, just Googled and apparently 343 use photogrammetry in Halo 5. You can kind of see why I got the email. Well, there you go. You'd be surprised how much photogrammetry is used around the place. Like I said, it's always been used in film. We use it at the studio now in ArchViz, but I've used it in games as well. Studios use it in games too, and more so now than they used to. Because it's a good way to get stuff done quickly. No, not just that. I mean, you make models that look real. That's the whole point of it. It's based on a photograph. It looks real. It's realistic modeling. So even if you use the photogrammetry like I have here as a base to build something else with, it can still save a huge amount of time. Okay, let's jump back into Max. That's just Max bitching. Basically what Max is saying, oh, you updated a texture file. And so Max has to reread that texture file back in again. Wow, Max just crashed. And you see, it gave me no warning at all. Just going to double check that Max is actually not still running. No, Max has crashed. There you go, Max 2020 crash. Ouch, oh no. ICMZ says, yeah, it was worth a change and move. I hate packing too, but I don't have anything heavy to take with me, so like furniture, okay. Yeah, unfortunately I'm in like a fully furnished house and it would just be a nightmare. Well, apartment. I live in an apartment, but it's furnished and I own the furniture, so I'd have to pack it all with me. This is the first crash of Max since I've installed 2020. What was bad about that crash, as you saw, was Max gave me no warning. You know, it didn't even pop up. Usually when Max crashes, it pops up a little dialog box for you to send the report to Autodesk. It didn't even do that. So whatever happened in the background, Max just lost its mind and completely crashed. I'm just going to reopen that. We didn't do any work, so I didn't lose any work. It was all fine. We've spent all of our time in Substance Painter. But yeah, a bad crash of Max with no warning at all and no dialogue to send a report to Autodesk to even try and find out what caused it to crash. Yeah, I think most people, Sniper Girl says that she hates packing as well. I hate it. It's such a big job. The packing is bad. The unpacking is just as bad. So, you know, between the whole move of packing everything up, loading it all up, transporting it to wherever you got to go, unloading it all and unpacking it all. Oh, man, I hate that. Hate it. But I will have to do it again eventually because I do want to move eventually. My PCs come with me though wherever I go. I don't trust my electronics to the removalists. You know how you get removalists to pack the stuff up for you? Or, you know, to pack the truck and send it off and all that sort of stuff. I never trust the removalists to do that for me. I always do that. My electronics come with me. They don't go with the removalist. And that looks better. Like I said, the gold just helps to draw a bit more attention to these columns. And reusing that gold texture is not going to be noticeable. The details on it are a bit too fine for people to notice when they do a render, that texture is the same as that texture. So we'll be good. Packing robots, Smurfery says, yeah, give us those packing. Actually, I've seen a couple of robots. One was doing, it was by that US robotics firm. They had a video of what they called a robotic ostrich. It looked like an ostrich. So its head went down, picked up a box, swiveled around, dropped the box down. It was like a warehouse unpacking sort of robot. It looked really cool. But a packing robot sounds like a dream. I'd love a packing robot. Smurfer says, I remove my hard drives and escort them personally, but the rest of the electronics gets shipped. No, I don't. None of my electronics gets shipped. It all comes with me. I remove the fan because you know how you got really, I've got really big fans attached, heat sinks attached to my CPU and all that sort of thing. So I remove the CPU fans because they're huge. You don't want them to, during transport, to have a bump and rip the CPU or something out of the motherboard. So I remove the fans. I leave the hard drives in. But everything comes with me. I package the whole thing, the whole case back up in its original box with padding, still with all my equipment inside, apart from the CPU fan. I package that all up and then that stays with me while I move. I do that for all the computers, all the electronics, computer electronics, normal electronics like the TV and stuff I don't, or the stereo. But yep, no, it all comes with me. It gets packed back in its original packaging boxes that came with the cases, but all the electronics gets left inside, apart from the CPU fan. Sniper Girl says, I removed the hard drive and video card, made the mistake of shipping my computer via UPS. I had this side up, fragile and heavy marked on it. And the dumbass UPS driver rolled the box, the computer tower was off the truck. So they didn't pay attention to your fragile and this end up sort of thing. Yeah, that's why I take it all with me. I don't trust it to remove us. Mercury says, I have too many books. Yeah, well, and don't they weigh a ton, Mercury? If you're going to pack books up and ship them off, man, those boxes that those books are in, they weigh a ton. Even if you keep the box reasonably sized, they still weigh a ton when you pick them up. Books are heavy things. But it's good to see you read. Reading's a good thing. I don't read as much as I should. Android Lust says, UPS don't give a damn about fragile. And Smurfberry says, dead trees are so heavy. They are, and they are dead trees. I remember them saying years ago, you remember when the whole digital ebook thing was big? It still is big. Like, Amazon had their digital books and all that sort of stuff. But people were saying it was going to be the end of traditional books, and that hasn't happened. Because people still like the traditional book. Not everyone wants to read everything on a digital screen. They want to hold a book. Which is too bad for the trees, but I understand why people like to hold a physical book. And I love going into a bookstore. The smell of a bookstore, it smells so good. All that print. Maybe it's just I'm getting high on all the print smell in a bookshop. Smurfberry says the smartest thing to do is to get medium-ish rubber Tupperware tubs to put the books in. Oh, okay. Smurfberry says comes with handles, holds an amount of books that isn't too large or too heavy, and water resistant, which is a very good idea actually. Yeah, because you don't want water to hit your books and ruin them. And we all know we can't trust those removalist people because they're likely to unpack the truck and leave the boxes outside while they take something else in, and it'll rain, and then your books are ruined. Now, what am I going to do? I want to come back and do a little bit of overpaint on these columns. But before I do that, I think I'm going to assign the textures to all of these wrought iron pieces around the columns. So we'll do that because that's what we've been working on. So why not? So first things first is I need to remove the frame. So let's do an invert here, and I'm going to detach that from the frame. I'm just going to go around and do that to all these pieces just to begin with, so that we can assign the different texture to the right bit. Shouldn't take too long, most of them are already selected by the look of it. It's quicker for me to do this than to grab one and copy it around, because getting it to line up on the column would be annoying. So it's actually quicker for me just to jump around and do it this way. Sniper Girl says sculpting some stone blocks for a small pathway. Think anybody would notice if I just sculpted 4 blocks, top and bottom, and just use them throughout the path. Depends on how unique a shape they are. If the shape of them is all pretty similar, then you should be okay with 4 blocks, so long as you're careful as to how you mix and match them. I think you should be okay. But it will depend on how unique the shapes of those blocks are. If they're too unique, then people might start to notice. Let's detach that one. One more. Smurfberry says make 5. I don't know what his reasoning behind 5 is, but that's Smurfberry's advice. I think 4 would be okay if they're not if they're not too unique. Android Lust says only 3D artists would notice for the most part. You know, that's very true, and he makes a really good point. It's one that I pointed out. Remember when we did the house on the hollow? In UE4, we were doing all those banisters, all the woodwork for the banisters, and I reused the same texture over and over and over and over, basically for nearly 90% of the banisters. Even though we'd gone in and we'd painted up some some wearing by hand, and you could see that it was the same texture, people are not going to notice that sort of thing. Most normal people don't. It's just us 3D people that get obsessed and notice that sort of stuff generally. So you are correct there, Android Lust. Sniper Girl says similar shape rectangles, and it's all Japanese style, too horizontal, too. Yeah, no, that'll be fine. You'll be fine with that then, Sniper Girl. No problem. It should be fine. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this unwrap. Because you notice here, this one is not, the unwrap is messed up on the gold part here through the middle. That's interesting. That is interesting. That one's okay. That one's okay. This one is not. So it's not taking the copy of the unwrap. So I'm just going to open up the UVs for this and see what it's doing. Why is it doing that? That should be fine. Make sure we've got the right texture assigned to it. We do. Okay. Let's have a look at the texture map. Okay, now I know how to fix this. Basically what's happened here is the UVs are rotated around in the wrong direction. So this is what we need to fix here. So I'm going to, if I can select that, I'm going to select these. I'm going to start by rotating it, making sure angle snap is turned on. We're going to scale it. We do the same for this one. Again, this is probably something that Max has done when I've copied the asset around. It sometimes really does lose its mind with UVs. If you use the mirror tool, or if you copy an already UV'd asset. Don't know why. It only doesn't do it all the time, only does it sometimes. That's still incorrect. Why? Just going to make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. Okay, okay. Okay. I'm going to break that piece off from the rest of them. We're going to have to rotate it back around. You are driving me up the wall. Let's try that again. It's still not looking right. Why you do this? Why you be so difficult? We'll come back to you. I want to see if if these other ones have that problem as well. They will need to be re-UV'd though, so I'm just going to copy that modifier. Sniper goes. We'll come back to this difficult one here. We'll see if there's any problems with these first. So I'm going to assign that texture to these, and we're going to paste the unwrap. Again, this one is doing it as well. That is weird. Okay, let's keep going. I want to see how many of these are actually incorrect. It's just these straight pieces. It's picking up the right UVs for the top and the bottom. But these pieces that run straight through the middle are not right. And if it's on too many of them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to copy and duplicate around. So I'm just going to do a couple more to see how many of them have that problem. Looks like all of them, apart from the two that we've already done, might have that problem. Yeah, that one has the problem. All right. Okay, that's fine. You want to be like that, you can be like that. So these two are okay. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to have to swap them out for the two that are good. Did I manage to break max 2 days in a row? Sniper Girl says. Hi Sniper Echo, it's good to see you buddy. How are you? How's things, Sniper? We're having problems here with our UV mapping on these decorative pieces for some reason. And I'm not really sure why the UVs have gone whacked on them. In fact, what I might do here is I might see if I can do it through the channel info before we start deleting and re-adding. So we've got the map channel here. No, there's something odd going on with the UVs on those pieces, and I have a feeling it's max because I use the duplicate tool, and it always has problems with the UVs. Andrew Doss says any day I can do 3D is a good day, and that sounds like a good thing to say. It's very cool. You're good. That's good to hear, Sniper. So yes, I'm going to have to. I've got no choice here to get this correct in the quickest way, the easiest way. I'm going to remove the ones that are not correct, and we're going to copy them over. Just means I'm going to have to line them up to the column. So I'm going to start by copying it, and now I'm going to go into isolation mode so we don't get distracted with everything else going on. So long as I don't move it in the Z direction, then we should be fine. I'm just going to line it up on the column. I might just bring it in a little bit. Come on, Max. Just gotta make sure it's about the middle of the column. And that looks okay. I think that's the middle. Let's jump out of isolation mode. Let's move on to the next one. The other thing I just want to make sure I do too is just rotate it around as we work around the column. So I want that straight bit to be in the middle of the column facing forward, like it is with the others. The center piece here. Okay, now the next one. What I might do here is I'm just going to group this as well. It stops me from accidentally moving one of the pieces out of alignment. I'll just call it column ironwork. Duplicate it, isolate it, and reposition it. So move on to the next one. Actually, just before I do that, I just want to rotate this around so that line is in the middle of the column. Sniper is every goddamn day. Sniper, I have some massive news by the way. Okay, massive news by the way. Don't congratulate me though, because there's a catch. Spill, Sniper Echo, spill. What news do you have? Tell me. What is the massive news? And what is the catch? So Sniper Wrecker says, so long story short, I got a grant to fully fund my project prototype. That is excellent news. That is so cool. The catch is this. Okay, what's the catch? But being fully funded, that's amazing, Sniper Wrecker. Sniper says, it's on condition that I make a film or 5-part mini-series instead of a game. So, so you got funding for the project you're doing, which I'm assuming was for a game, but they want you to make a 5-part mini-series instead of a game? How do they go from a game to a mini-series? I don't get what? I don't get how that happens. Yeah, Sniper Echo says, basically they decided that a film or TV show would be better than a game. Okay, well that explains why you were talking scripts with Sniper Echo yesterday in Discord. How does that even happen? Android Lost says, but if you make the film, you could possibly fund the game, right? ICMZ says that's a big catch. It certainly is, and it's not something I've ever come across either. People doing to jump from a game to wanting you to make a 5-part film or mini-series. Mini-series in 3D or just normal film mini-series, Sniper Echo? Which is it? I want to know how they can jump from that to that. So is it a normal mini-series or is it like a 3D thingy? Sniper Echo says, problem is this. Over here, the same people sit on several grant boards for different categories of grants. Yep. Yeah, I get that. It's a similar thing in this country as far as people sitting on these boards. So basically, shorts, ICMZ says. Sniper says, and they said what I want. And they said what I want, let's do it their way. I'm assuming, yeah, so they said, F what you want, let's do it their way. Film or mini-series to be done in 3D. Okay, well that makes a little bit more sense. It's not like you were making a 3D game and they want you to do a 2D film. They want you to do a 3D type mini-series. So I can see where they're going now, I guess, in that regard. Have they given you any idea as to what type of mini-series they want, or have they left it completely up to you? Because that's quite a jump to go from a game to a mini-series, even in 3D still. But I can see their reasoning, perhaps. If it's going to stay in 3D particularly. Sniper Echo says, film or mini-series to be done in 3D. I have no idea how to make a film or mini-series. Smurfer says, well, you don't have to worry about player agencies screwing up the order of your story. Well, that's true. In a lot of ways, doing a film is probably easier than doing a game. I'm just curious if they've given you any direction as to exactly what type of mini-series they want to see, or if they've just left it up to you. Android Lost says, summon Legmog. Sniper Ricky says, I know, right? Well, I think that's still pretty cool. I mean, I would... In some ways, like Smurfberry says, doing a film or a mini-series is probably going to be easier than making a game. I mean, I'm not suggesting that making a mini-series is easy. It's not. Doing any sort of film work is not no walk in the park. It's still a lot of work. And I guess if they're the ones paying, then you got to do what they want. And that explains why you were looking at scripts, because I thought to myself, why on earth is Sniper Echo interested in talking about scripts? And that explains it. Sniper says to Android Dust, probably best not mention it to him. This is what his dream is. He's doing his own miniseries. He's okay. And Legmog is okay. He's doing good. He's working away and he's doing quite a bit of work from what I saw of his video yesterday. So he's doing well. Sniper Echo says, Phil, I don't know all the conditions yet, but so far I've been told I can make whatever I want. Well, that sounds even better. That sounds cool. Amazing. If they've not given you any conditions and they can let you have carte blanche as to exactly what you want to make, then that sounds amazing. What am I doing? I want to duplicate this. See, I can't multitask. I can't talk and work. Well, that sounds great. Andrew Luss says, to be honest, it's cool that it would be funded, but it's kind of like they shot you in the foot about your game. I can understand where they're coming from. Not. I know you want to make a game, and that's cool. And that's what you want to do, which is fine. But as far as value for money for them goes, instead of one game, they're getting 5 pieces of film that they can air or show. So I can see why they think it's better value for money for them. Doesn't help you because you want to make a game. but it could still be really fun to work on. I think that's still a really cool project. ICMZ says, time for you to find a render farm. Well, that's the other thing. Yeah. Unless you can do it in real time. If they've left it up to you, maybe you could still use the game engine to do the 3D for the film. I know Legmog is not. Legmog is using Cinema 4D to do his rendering. But Unity and UE4 have gotten pretty good now with visuals, and if they've left it up to you, you might be able to use the game engine still to actually put it together, in which case you won't really need to worry about huge render farms. One of the advantages of using the game engine will be it will render out much more quickly. You won't need large render farm. But the quality won't be as good as if you do actually use a proper renderer. It's nearly as good, but not as good. But certainly much faster to produce, even with a render farm. Sniper says, well, I'm actually already mid-production on a short video for the game, so I'm in that mode. But yeah, it's crazy. Sniper Girl says to me, yeah, true there. Unreal has gotten amazing. Can look at the Quicksilver video. Yeah, you do keep in mind the real-time game engine, particularly UE4, because it is very good now. It's very close to real-time to production rendering, which is what Epic Games have been pushing all along. They want people to use the engine for more real-time film type stuff. Last one. And so if you use an engine, a game engine, to do the short film miniseries, well then maybe you could use that after you finish your short film miniseries, those locations you set up for whatever film you're making, as part of your game. So you have the benefit of faster renders, plus you can reuse the sets that you create for the film in the game. Sniper says, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of conditions I don't know about yet. I will know next week. Rendering in-game engine would be nice, but I think I would have to change a lot of the visuals. It would be possible to do it in Blender and a combination of Eve and cycles, but mainly I honestly don't know where to start. It's a big... well, you're going from something from one end of the spectrum to the other with regard to real-time game and miniseries film. Yeah, so I could see how it could be throwing you for a bit of a loop. First things first is to find out if there are any conditions, though, because you can't really plan for anything until you know your restrictions. So find out any conditions or anything that they want in particular, and then you can go from there as to trying to work out what you're going to do. It's probably the best course of action. It's still very cool, Sniper Echo, and congratulations. I think that's amazing. I think that's really cool. And there's nothing stopping you from doing your game after you've done your mini-series. But it's amazing news, yes, and congratulations. You should be very happy. I would be. I think it's great. You worry about all the details of it later. You just enjoy the moment now. You freak out later. Enjoy now, freak out later. That's how it works. Android says, yeah man, happy for you. You have got this. I agree. ICMZ says, yes, still a great opportunity and congratulations. It is. So you just take the time to enjoy the victory for now and worry about other stuff later. Because it's incredibly cool. Might just rotate this one around a little bit more. I'm just making sure that they're all facing forward, and they look like they are. Sniper Echo says, yeah, at the moment I'm working hard on this video production. Will not consider anything else until this is out of the way. Fair enough. Smokeberry says, sounds like an opportunity to get paid to make the environments in your engine and then turn them into a game later. That's what I think too. Sniper Echo says, my freak out right now is on how to create a good looking skin shader for my character. Well, you know, if worse comes to worse, dude, you can always hire someone to do it for you. If worse comes to worse and you can't do it, you can't create the shader yourself, then there are many people that you can hire that would make one for you. Particularly if you're getting funding now. Sniper Echo says, that's the only thing I'm stressed over right now. And Sniper says, Smokeberry, yeah, would be great, fingers crossed, that's what I can do. Yes, but do bear that in mind too, Sniper Echo. If you're getting funding, then you've got a little bit of cash to play with. I'm sure you can find someone that can make you a skin shader. That wouldn't be outrageously expensive. Alrighty, let us do a quick save because after Max crashing just before, we don't want that to happen again. After me copying all those pieces around, I don't want to do it again. So I'm just going to get into position here, maybe like that. Again, I do this because when Max makes a save file, it saves out a thumbnail of the file. So I always like to get into position so that if I'm browsing, I know what it is that Max file belongs to. Let's do a save. We got something posted in the gallery on Discord, I'm just noticing. Android Lust, you posted some images. Nice, let's just check those out while Max is saving away here. You're a machine with these characters, Android Lust, you really are. Okay. I'm just going to copy the links and then we'll check them out properly. Really nice. Again, I really like the way you're posing your characters as well. The silhouettes you create when you pose up your characters is really, really nice. Really, really interesting and really nice. It's really important, the silhouettes you create, particularly for a character, and you always pose them really nicely. Not to mention the fact they're modeled really nicely as well. That goes without saying. And textured as well. Textured very nicely too. Looks great. And this is the ZBrush. Yeah, beautifully modeled, really lovely texturing. And posing is great. You do a good job, dude. You always do a really good job. Cool. Really nice. You guys and girls, if you're not on the Discord server, you should click the link I've just popped in chat. After Nightbot putting it there. To check out some of the other work that Android Lost has made, because he's done some really, really nice character stuff. And they're all in the gallery section on the Discord server, so jump on the Discord. You're quite welcome. I do love your work. It's always really nicely done. Beautiful work. Beautiful, beautiful work. He does some absolutely awesome work. The character work is great, and he does them so quickly too. It's amazing. He's a machine. He's a 3D character machine. And they look great. They always look great. And thanks for showing them. And again, guys, jump on the Discord server if you want to see some of the other character stuff that Android Dust has done, because it's all in the gallery section, and you guys can post images in the gallery as well once you've joined the Discord server. What's the time? I wanted to do some repainting on the columns, but I think we might leave it there for today. Remember though, guys and girls, I'm not going to be streaming next week. I'm taking that week off for Easter, so I'll be back on the following week. So the next stream after today will be the 29th of April, Monday the 29th. So no stream on the 22nd, but one on the 29th. Just a week's break. Because I need some rest and some sleep to de-stress a little bit. But I hope you guys and girls have a great Easter. Don't eat too much chocolate. I won't be, because you know I'll break out. You'll know if I did, because I will have broken out when I come back. But you guys and girls, enjoy the Easter break. Make sure you stay safe. Don't eat too much chocolate, because you get a tummy ache. So happy Easter to you too, Sniper Girl. I'll see you guys and girls. Chag, it's good to see you, Chag. You just popped in when I'm closing out the stream, and I won't be on next week because of Easter, but I'm back the week after. It's good to see you though, Chag, and Galen as well. It's good to see you too. You guys and girls have a great weekend. A great weekend, a great Easter break. I will see you again, not next week, the week after, so I'm only going to be gone for 1 week. You all have a great Easter, and I shall see you guys and girls not next week, the week after. I may pop into Discord during the Easter break, see how I go. I'm not planning on doing any work, so I might have some free time to jump on the Discord server, so if I'm not streaming, you might see me on Discord. But I'll be back not next week, the week after. No problems. Thanks for popping in, Chag. And yes, I'll be back in not next week, the week after. You guys and girls have a great Easter. Take care. Don't eat too much chocolate. And I'll see you all in a week's time when I get back. See you guys.